It's time for an Out and About with Jamie Grout podcast, and this time around we'll be talking about Parkinson's disease. And there is a Parkinson's disease support group that has been formed in Newton, and we'll be talking to a couple of ladies who have been affected by Parkinson's disease, and a lady who is well versed in Parkinson's disease because she worked with the Marke Medical Center in Des Moines through the Neurological Support Center for a number of years, that can answer questions about Parkinson's disease, and she'll be involved in the Parkinson's disease support group. And Parkinson's disease is very near and dear to my heart because my sister passed away from that in early November. And a lot of times when I go into talking about various topics dealing with nonprofits, I don't know a lot about the nonprofits, and I don't mind that because actually I'm going into the interview from the viewpoint of the listener. But in this issue, I do know quite a bit about it because of what I went through with my sister. And I found that this expert, this nurse who had dealt with this neurological disorder, was quite knowledgeable about Parkinson's disease. And I think you'll find her to be quite knowledgeable too. And again, I want to encourage you to look into the big support group that is being formed here in Newton, and has gotten underway at Newton Village, and they're going to have a get-together at the Gray Moon Marketplace also. It's an organization that is growing. They have a huge group that has been formed also in Des Moines, and I want you to listen closely to the podcast and check out the video. I think that if you're a person who has been affected in one way or another, either with Parkinson's disease, or you're a family member or friend of someone with Parkinson's disease, to think about going to the Parkinson's disease support group. First of all, a word from our sponsors, including the Newton Clinic. I really want you to check out Newton Clinic if you're having some health problems, or even before you even have health problems, because spring is here and it's the perfect time for a health reset. If you've been putting off your annual physical or wellness visit, now is a great time to check in. Preventative care helps you stay ahead of your health all year long. I'll be having an appointment coming up in April with my doctor, who I've had for quite a while now, Dr. Joe Levette. He's a great doctor, and I'm sure you'll find a great caregiver for yourself and your family at Newton Clinic. They have a new provider, too, if you're looking for a new provider in Newton, Kenzie Heiser, and you can find out all about her at the Newton Clinic Facebook page that I'm looking at right now. Newton Clinic. Hey, be treated like family at Newton Clinic. Another fine sponsor, Ryan's Tire and Auto on First Avenue in Newton. At Ryan's Tire and Auto, they take pride in delivering more than just tires and vehicle maintenance. They provide an unwavering commitment to great service every time. As a locally owned and operated small business, they understand the importance of building lasting relationships with their valued customers. Their team of dedicated professionals is passionate about automobiles and is committed to going the extra mile for you. They're proud to serve their community with a level of care, expertise, and dedication that only a hometown business can offer at Ryan's Tire and Auto on First Avenue in Newton. Another fine sponsor, of course, is Wesley Life Park Center, and I want you to check out Wesley Life Park Center. It's a great place to consider if you are thinking about retiring. Like I say, my sister lived there. I got her back from Portland, Oregon, to live at Wesley Life Park Center. When she was diagnosed with Parkinson's disease. First she lived at assisted living, and then as her Parkinson's disease continued to increase, why we got her into the healthcare center, and there she stayed until her passing. But I'll tell you what, she couldn't have had any better care at Wesley Life Park Center. Those people were just great. And you can pursue your joy at Park Center by offering living options across a continuum. Park Center provides vital, enriching environments for everyone, a community for healthy living focused on holistic health and well-being. Their programming enhances emotional, intellectual, and spiritual wellness and enables you to live a life that's healthier in every way. Park Center is at home in Newton, with many residents and team members having lived in their lives. To learn more about Park Center's different levels of living and to find the lifestyle that's right for you, contact Lisa Zylstra at 641-791-5000. That's Lisa Zylstra at 641-791-5000. Another fine sponsor is Advantage Credit Union.
If you've been fouled by your financial institution, then blow the whistle. This is Coach Miles from Advantage Credit Union with some one-on-one for a financial victory. At ACU, you're treated like you own the team because you actually do. Advantage Credit Union offers great deposit rates. You actually earn interest instead of paying a monthly fee at you know where.
Make shot, good!
If you live or work in Jasper County or 18 other central Iowa counties, you are eligible to join. Visit us in downtown Newton or online at acuiowa.org. It's a game winner at ACU.
Member NCUA.
It's time for an Out and About with Jamie Grout podcast, and this time a topic that I know something about, really. A lot of times I go into a podcast not knowing what the subject is about, which is okay because it's the point of view of the listeners, but I know a little bit more about this because it's about Parkinson's disease, and my sister passed away in early November due to that, and she fought the good fight with Parkinson's disease for 5 years, and she passed away November 1st. And Lori, a friend of mine who I've known for many years, contacted me and said there's going to be a Parkinson's disease support group forming. And so we're going to discuss that and different aspects of Parkinson's disease in just a moment. So let's get going with this. And first of all, the three people here with me that I'm going to be talking to, I want them to introduce themselves and tell them about their association with Parkinson's disease.
Okay, my name's Lori Sampson. My husband, Craig, has Parkinson's disease. He was diagnosed 5 years ago. However, he had many symptoms earlier that we did not know were or could be related to Parkinson's, one of them being his loss of smell. He had been on the farm and worked with the pigs, and we thought that it was attributed to that. So we started noticing some symptoms, talked to the doctor, and we were sent to a neurologist when he was diagnosed.
And my name's Valerie Stickle-Deal. I'm a retired nurse from Rouen Neurology at Mercy Medical Center. Worked with Parkinson's patients and the doctors for 26 years. When I retired, I felt like I had accumulated some information that would be valuable to help share with the community. So I volunteer and serve on the board of directors for the American Parkinson's Disease Association. It is a nonprofit organization, very well organized. In the United States, there are only 13 chapters, and one of them is in Iowa, which is impressive and also sad that we need it, because Iowa is considered part of the Parkinson's belt in the United States. What the Parkinson's Foundation does is provide free support and education in our state of Iowa, and that includes exercise classes, even ballroom dancing, art classes, Climb Iowa. There are several seminars around Iowa. There's also classes that they provide with the money that they raise. And the way they raise money is through a walk every year, and then also a very large conference. In fact, it's the largest in the United States, we discovered. Over 700 people attend this conference, and this year it's on June 5th. And more, you can learn more about that on their website. The other thing is they partner with Iowa State with a professor there that provides education to her students, and they go all over Iowa to the different extension offices and provide something called Journey Through Parkinson's, which is very helpful for someone newly diagnosed, helps get them connected. Other than that, we totally believe that knowledge is power, and there are so many misunderstandings sometimes when people leave their doctor's office. So it's really important that they understand what they're dealing with and know that this isn't necessarily going to shorten their life. Certainly having some complications of Parkinson's can do that. But I think we do a good job of clarifying with people that you can live well and make new friends.
All right.
And I'm Leanne Winton. My husband, Kevin, was diagnosed in May of 2020, but he was also had symptoms in 2017 that we didn't realize were symptoms at that time. He seems to be getting along well with the medication that he's on right now, but again, everybody's journey is totally different. So, somebody that was diagnosed 5 years could have more symptoms than what somebody that was diagnosed two years ago. So it's totally different for everybody.
And it does, and you could give the microphone back to her. It does affect everybody differently. My sister had a rare form of Parkinson's disease, and I got to say the doctor was right on with her prognosis and said, well, it'll be about 5 years. For Michael J. Fox, for example, he's had it for a number of years. A guy that I was in the support group with yesterday has had it for 10 years, and you can hardly see the effects of Parkinson's disease. Any idea how many different forms of Parkinson's disease there are? There must be several different forms.
Yes, there are several different forms, and there's so Parkinsonism is kind of a recent terminology or word that we use to explain Parkinson's, because you could meet 20 people and at least 4 or 5 of them could have a different type. So sometimes it only impacts balance. Sometimes people just have tremor. Sometimes it's as simple as a GI problem, maybe constipation, or sense of smell. There's just so many different varieties of how it reveals itself. The lack of dopamine, you've probably heard that word before. So this is not a muscle problem or even an orthopedic problem. It is actually a lack of chemical production or retention. And what dopamine is in charge of with all of us is automatic movement. And so that automatic movement is really hindered. And that's where we find the symptoms showing up.
Okay, so the symptoms, are they different for everybody then, or are there common symptoms?
Yes, there are hallmark symptoms.
Okay.
And that would include tremor. It also includes balance, rigidity, which would be felt like a stiffness, like stiff back or stiff shoulders or neck. The stiffness is sometimes can lead to other problems like maybe needing back surgery or falling. And then sometimes we'll see some cognitive changes. So not necessarily memory, but maybe just getting their self ready for the day, or multitasking. We can see some that happens sometimes.
How about hallucinations?
Not as common, especially early on, and sometimes can actually be caused by the medication that we use.
My sister had hallucinations that my best friend was writing her love letters. Oh. And where she ever got that, I don't know, but she did. And I talked to my best friend about that, and he said, no, that's not happening. And sadly, and it was a kind of a double-edged sword and a good thing, was that my sister was living out in Portland, Oregon, and I knew these things were going on with my sister, and I was living here in Newton, but she had neighbors across the street who were taking care of her, actually, and making sure that she was fed, making sure that she was getting bathed. And in fact, I hired visiting angels to take care of her, and they would come over and want to take care of her, and she wouldn't be there. And it turns out she was over across the street being taken care of by her neighbors. So I felt very lucky that they were doing that. And again, as you folks have said, it affects people differently. She didn't really have the tremors, but she was a southpaw. She was a lefty, and she couldn't use her left hand. So it just really is different. Maybe you could pass the microphone to Lori and talk about how it has affected your husband, Lori.
Craig's symptoms, well, I would say probably started with a loss of smell, if that is truly a part of his Parkinson's. But we noticed some balance and some walking issues. He was walking across the yard, he a little more hunched in his shoulders, hunching forward. Also, he was having some leg pain, and I think that was part of the rigidity. But tremors was the biggest thing.
Tremors. So. And was that in both hands or just one hand?
One.
One hand?
Yeah,
okay.
It's affecting one side.
Okay, is he under medication?
He is.
Okay.
Craig is taking medication, and he recently had a DBS surgery.
What's a DBS?
It's deep brain stimulation. The process is 45 days later, he will be programmed, or it will be turned on. and we'll see how that affects him. Then.
Turned on. Can you explain that? What does that mean?
Could you? Sure.
Okay. Yeah.
I'm going to let the expert explain that.
Okay, that's fine.
Okay. Well, I'm going to do it in a very understandable way. So the deep brain stimulator, this first surgery is an implant, which is little tiny fiber-like wires that go into the brain. And they put it in the place that's causing the tremor. And they actually test for the tremor while they're doing the surgery. Patient is awake. Mm-hmm. So after the surgery is done and the patient goes home, then later, and it's also hooked up to a battery-operated, I'll say a messenger, a little small disc that's also implanted. And that is turned on or synchronized to set a message to the brain to say, okay, I'm going to control that tremor.
I see. Okay.
And it's adjustable.
All right. Leanne, now you said that your husband's under medication, correct?
Yes, he is.
Does it seem to be helping at all?
It does, yep.
Okay.
He's got his off times where it doesn't help as well. But we've recently increased the medication to 4 times a day instead of 3 times a day. So that seems to be helping a little bit more, yes.
In terms of helping, are you talking about tremors and that kind of thing?
The tremors, yep. Initially, he started out having, well, we didn't know that this was a symptom either, the lack of facial expressions. He just had a flat face. Walking around, people just said, well, he's not very happy or he's, not very talkative or whatever. Well, come to find out that lack of facial expression is part of Parkinson's. He also had lots of balance issues. We were at a store. It was probably late 2019, and he fell outside the store, and he was shaking, almost like convulsing. And it got to the point where I said, well, we have to do something. So then we had went to Mercy Neuron, and they weren't exactly for sure whether it said it could be Parkinsonism, but wasn't for sure exactly what to call it. So we asked for another opinion to Mayo Clinic, and Mayo Clinic is the one that actually gave us the diagnosis of Parkinson's. Yes.
Now, Mayo Clinic does wonders. They're
Correct.
a very interesting place to go to. They really were somewhat helpful to my father, who ended up passing away of complications from Crohn's disease, and he wasn't sure what he had. But boy, I tell you, I see the Crohn's disease commercials on TV now, and the medications they have. I thought, boy, if he were around now, he could have lasted probably another 10 years or so. Why don't we pass the microphone back down to Lori, because we want to get to the Parkinson's support group that is forming here, and that was the original intent of you contacting me. So we want to talk about that and talk about when your meeting is going to be held, Lori, and how people can get a hold of you and how they can all get together and support each other.
Sure. I've talked to a couple other people, and they thought a support group sounded good. It's hard to know who has Parkinson's in town. Doctors can't tell you. They have to find out through the doctor or through word of mouth. So we started a support group in the fall. We meet once a month. It's the second Saturday of the month from 10:30 until noon, and it's held at Newton Village in a meeting room. Everyone's welcome. The person with Parkinson, caregivers, family, anybody who wants to come. It's very open. We're just kind of a social group. We will have some programs, but for the most part, we just talk about things that have affected us, exercise, medicines, different things that we have found. And like Leanne said, it affects everyone differently.
All right.
So we also, on April 11th, which is the second Saturday in April, from 10:30 to noon, we're going to be meeting at the Gray Moon Public Market.
Sure.
It's World Parkinson's Day, and we're going to have kind of a little celebration there, and we invite everybody to come and attend. We're just going to be there hanging out, and we'd like to see some new faces.
Do you have a Facebook page or a website, Lori?
We do not have a Facebook page yet.
Okay.
We're considering doing that.
Okay.
But they can contact me personally at my phone at 641-521-3909, or via email at Lori, Lori, .jo.sampson, SAMSON, @gmail.com. There is also the APDA Iowa has a website that you can look at and call in and get information about it as well.
All right. Fantastic. Well, it's great that you're forming that. If you could pass the microphone over to her again real quick. And you said you're involved in a group in Des Moines. It's 75 people or so.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
that's a huge group.
It's huge.
What kinds of things do you talk about? It must be a myriad of different things. And hopefully people just really open up and talk about how they're dealing
Yeah.
with it and their families deal with it. And maybe you can expound on that a little bit.
Sure. So now I got a choking spell here. So the first part of the program is always a speaker.
Uh-huh.
So, like, for example, this month we had a pharmacist from Drake, and medication, supplements, talked about everything. Very helpful, because you don't always get that at the doctor. Then we split into another group, and we have, I take the care partners in a group with me, and we talk about whatever they're struggling with, because they want to protect their loved one. They're living with them, but they don't always ask them what they need. And of course, I've always said that people who live with Parkinson's or who have Parkinson's are the least complaining people I've ever met. Mm-hmm. They will tell you they're fine, right? Correct. Right, yeah. So it's very important that that the care partners are supported. And while they're being supported in that group, then in the group with the people who have Parkinson's, we usually have a physical therapist come work with them, or maybe they just chat, but it's monitored and guided. So very, very powerful.
What is the difference between, I'm asking you from a personal point of view, what is the difference between having the shakes and having Parkinson's?
Oh, okay. Well, there's something called essential tremor. All things that tremor are not Parkinson's. And so it's a familial thing. And there are people who start out with that, and maybe later it's determined that they have Parkinson's. It's always good to be monitored by a doctor, because tremor is troublesome. Mm-hmm. It interferes, right?
Right. Well, I went to the doctor because I do have the shakes. And the doctor said at this point it's not Parkinson's. So we have to keep an eye on it just to take a look at it, because my sister did have it. Yeah. But you said it was a lack of dopamine. Is that what causes it? I mean, or do they have that nailed down for sure?
They do with certain types of Parkinson's.
Okay.
I wonder if your sister maybe didn't have tremor.
I don't think she really did. I think that one of the first signs was her left hand not working. Yeah. I think she probably had balance problems. She had some memory problems too. It was kind of sad, because when I went to get her house sold and get her all the stuff out of her house, they were working on this road right next to where she lives. And, those stop, slow down signs, and they usually have somebody either manning that, or there was a woman that actually was taking care of that next to her house. And I parked her car because I had some errands to run for her. And she yelled over to me. She said, "Are you her brother?" And I said, "Yes, I am." And she goes, "Well, thank goodness you're here." And I said, "Why?" And she said, "Because she kept driving up and down the street trying to figure out which house was hers, because she was lost and she didn't know. And she had become forgetful." Yeah. And so forgetfulness, some hallucinations, and again, her left hand wasn't working as it normally did. She always wrote with her left hand, and there were just these symptoms of different things too. And we got in a little spat. I brought her back home to look at Park Center and Newton Village to see where she wanted to live. And, brothers and sisters will get into a little spat. And I said, "Look, sis, I'm trying to take care of you." And after that, we got along just fine, and she was, the hard part for me to talk about is that she was almost like another mother to me, because she was 10 years older. And she didn't have to be so good to me, because I came along 10 years after she'd been on this earth, and she could have been totally resentful of me because I took the spotlight away from her. And she was not that way at all. Even though she lived out in Boston, San Francisco, and Portland, we were always so close, in terms of, emotional and love for each other. So she was a very good sister to me. So, like I say, had the shoe been on the other foot, she'd have taken care of me also. So enough about me.
Yeah.
Let's get back to Parkinson's.
Yeah.
And Leanne, why don't you tell us a little bit more about your story? How do you help out your husband on a day-to-day basis in dealing with this Parkinson's disease?
He's pretty much self-efficient, but I do have to watch him when he eats because he does have some choking spells and things now sometimes are hard to swallow, and he gets to the point where it has a hard time breathing because I go down the wrong pipe or it just gets stuck and can't go any further. So I'm there for like emotional support, pretty much. But as far as, driving, he can drive like he normally does. He can, function keyboard on the computer, on the phone, no big deal, So he gets along pretty well at this point.
Yeah. I want to recommend a show maybe that you guys could see if you watch streaming shows, and that's Shrinking. And I don't know if you're familiar with it, but Harrison Ford's character in that show has Parkinson's disease, and he's had Michael J. Fox on a few episodes too. So we've been watching that, and it's very relatable. Why don't we pass the microphone back down to Lori, and you can give another plug for your support group and when and where you're going to meet, and maybe if people want to get a hold of you, Lori.
Okay. Our support group meets the second Saturday of every month at Newton Village from 10:30 a.m. until noon in the meeting room there. I would also like to give a plug to the annual conference that we're having. Valerie mentioned it earlier. It is on Friday, June 5th in Des Moines. It's at the Lutheran Church of Hope. It's a big day, and they have great speakers and breakout sessions that you can choose what group you want to go listen to. There are various topics you can go to outside of the big group event. And again, our group meets on the second Saturday of every month.
And let me tell you, I was just doing a podcast here a couple of weeks ago from the Lutheran Church of Hope because Reagan Maher has a support group for organ donation. And he had me do the podcast there with him, and it is a huge church.
Yes,
so
it's a great place to have these.
Yes, definitely. So get to that annual conference too, and thank you for putting this support group together. You guys, it's just fantastic. Any other final thoughts that you want to add, or anybody else have anything they want to add before we wrap this up? Again, it affects everybody differently, but anybody who is affected by this, whether it be family or friends, or they're dealing with it personally, I know you want to invite them to attend, Lori.
Yeah, that would be great. It would be great to see more people. We're a very welcoming group. We have fun. We just get together and meet. Just kind of a little social event is pretty much what it is, unless we have a special speaker that time. But I appreciate you doing this, allowing us to do this to get the word out.
Well,
So
I'm glad to do this. As you know, this is near and dear to my heart. And make sure you watch the video of this also, but try to attend the support meeting if you're in one way or another dealing with Parkinson's disease. It's getting to be pretty well known, and there's people there that'll be at the meeting that can answer questions that you might have about this disease, and hopefully they're going to make some progress on finding out maybe on how to get a cure for it, or at least how to deal with it or keep it at bay in some way, shape, or form.
there's always something new coming out.
Yes, that's
I saw
right.
more on the news yesterday, so
did
there's
you?
always something new.
Great, great. Well, thanks for joining me, ladies. That's going to wrap it up for this edition of Out and About with Jamie Grout. Other fine sponsors include Lynette Baker, Halo Branded Solutions, Westside Java Coffee Bar, Made Right Sandwich Shop, and Jersey Freeze, now open for the season in Monroe. Check out all the great treats that they have there, malts, shakes, ice cream treats, and don't forget to try the Van and Bon Bon Freezer, my favorite. Jersey Freeze, Lynn Donahue, great guy down there, the owner, proprietor of Jersey Freeze, and also supporting the Jasper County Fair with all the projects the 4-H and FFA kids have going on. Until next time, Grrr, out is out. See ya.